this is your first orientation or you've been through these before, they're all pretty long, but they're full of important information, so do your best to follow along. For these first two documents, well, at least for the second document, when we get to this I-9, it's going to be the next thing you're filling out after the first one. We're taking it box by box. Don't, just because you know your last name, don't go ahead and start jumping ahead and start filling out boxes. Specifically for this document, because it's very easy to think you're writing the right thing and you're not, and then we have to end up rewriting it real quick. So just follow along on that one. But for the first document, everybody should be on new employee checklist. And go ahead and fill out your name and the date. Alright, and then for all the documents that we sign, once you're done signing them, go ahead and put them to the side, face down. And so you're gonna have several of them, so start to create a stack for yourself. So that new employee checklist should be done, your name and date, and that's it. Go ahead and put it to the side, and then your next page is going to be the I-9. On that one, go ahead and fill out your last name. And then your first name. And then your middle initial. If you do not have one, any blank space, replace it. We're going to be doing N/A. For not applicable, so if you don't have a middle name, go ahead and just put N-A or N/A rather. Any other last names that you've used, if any, that will pop up, make sure you put that down now. And then go ahead and put your address. If you have an apartment number, a manufactured home number, a lot number, anything like that, go ahead and put that in the apartment number box. Do not put that in the address box. Go ahead and put your city and town, or city or town rather, your state, and your zip code. On your birthday, if you are January, then that is 01, not just 1. Make sure that you are putting 2 digits for the month, 2 digits for the day. So if you were born January 1st, it would be 0101, and then put 2021. For employer's email address and telephone number, put N/A. And then for the next one, if you are a U.S. citizen, go ahead and cross out box 1. Now for this one, if you are not filling out a line, so say under 3, lawful permanent resident, if you're not filling that out, go ahead and put N/A. And then below that for 4, you see that mark to the right. Go ahead and put N/A. All right, and then after that, at the bottom of those 3 lines that you put in that /A, you see signature of employee. Go ahead and put your signature. And then for today's date is 02/23/2021. 02, not just 2.
Are we supposed to fill in our social?
Oh, I'm so sorry, I skipped right over that. Yes, please go back up to the top and fill in your social. I would have let me get all that at the end. Thank you. Once you have your social there complete and your signature, go ahead and take that page and put it on your signed copy pile. All right, everybody should be on the sexual harassment and other harassment policy. Good. All right, Rovin Inc., including all of its restaurants, namely Babe's Chicken Dinner House, Sweetie Pie's Ribeyes, and Bubba's Cooks Country, and subsidiary entity, Antique Lumber Company, all of which are collectively referred to herein as Rovin, maintains a sexual harassment and other harassment policy. Pursuant to the guidelines on sex discrimination and other forms of discrimination issued by Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, Rovin fully supports the rights and opportunities of all people to seek, obtain, and hold employment without subjection to sexual harassment or any other kind of unlawful discrimination in the workplace. It is the policy of Rovin to provide an environment free of sexual harassment or other unlawful harassment or of any type. Sexual harassment. Sexual harassment is a violation of Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Texas Human Rights Commission Act. It is against the policies of Rogan for any employee, male or female, to sexually harass an employee, a vendor, or a client by A, making unwelcome sexual advancements, innuendos, or requests for sexual favors or other verbal or physical conduct of a sexual nature a condition of an employee's employment, or B, making submission or rejection of such conduct the basis for employment decisions affecting the employee, or C, creating an intimidating, hostile, or offensive working environment by such conduct. Behavior which may constitute sexual harassment. Sexual harassment does not refer to behavior or occasional compliments of a socially acceptable nature. It refers to the behavior that is not welcome, that is personally offensive, that fails to respect the right of others, that lowers the morale, and or that therefore interferes with our work effectiveness. Sexual harassment may take on different forms. One specific form is the demand for sexual favors. Other forms of harassment include the following: verbal, sexual innuendos, suggestive comments, jokes of a sexual nature, sexual propositions, threats, etc. Nonverbal, sexually subjective objects or pictures, graphic commentary, suggestive or insulting sounds, leering, whistling, obscene gestures, etc. Physical, unwanted physical contact, including touching, pinching, brushing of the body, coerced sexual intercourse or contact, assault, etc. Sexual harassment may be overt or subtle. Some behavior which is appropriate in a social setting may not be appropriate in the workplace. However, whatever the form it takes, verbal or nonverbal or physical, sexual harassment is insulting and demeaning to the recipient and cannot be tolerated in the workplace. Sexual harassment by any owner, employee, manager, supervisor, or non-employee will not be tolerated. All owners, employees, managers, and supervisors will be expected to comply with this policy and take appropriate measures to ensure that such conduct does not occur. Appropriate disciplinary action will be taken against any person who violates the policy against sexual harassment. Persons found to have engaged in sexually harassing conduct will be appropriately sanctioned depending upon the nature of the conduct involved. Such sanctions may include letters of counseling or reprimands, which copies will be maintained in the employee's personal file, leave without pay, suspension, or termination. Both men and women can be victims of sexual harassment from either gender. Further, making employment decisions based on sexual favoritism or on the basis of gender is strictly prohibited. Retaliation against any person making a sexual harassment complaint or complaint against any other form of unlawful harassment, assisting or testifying in a harassment investigation is strictly forbidden and will not be tolerated. Other unlawful discriminatory harassment. In addition to sexual harassment, other forms of unlawful discriminatory harassment can occur at the workplace. This can occur when either conduct or actions taken or words are spoken which are based upon the grounds for which employees are protected, such as racial or religious innuendos, jokes, and or actions so that the same can be created with the same activity in the other protected areas of race, national origin, disability, age, and religion. Racial jokes specifically are inappropriate and will not be tolerated even if it does not rise to the level of being considered legally unlawful harassment. However, merely talking about a protected category such as race or religion does not constitute unlawful harassment. Unlawful discriminatory harassment arises when actions and or environment rises to the level of being insulting and demeaning to the recipient. What be so to a reasonable person in a similar situation cannot and will not be tolerated in the workplace. Any other types of unlawful discriminatory harassment by an employee, manager, supervisor, or non-employee will not be tolerated. All employees, managers, and non-supervisors alike will be expected to comply with this policy and take appropriate measures to ensure that such conduct does not occur. Appropriate disciplinary action will be taken against any person who violates this policy. Next page. Informal resolution procedures. For persons who think they are victims of sexual harassment or other unlawful discriminatory harassment, the goal should be to establish integrity and documentation. The following steps should be taken. A. Confront the harasser. Say that the behavior makes you uncomfortable and be specific. Tell the offender to stop the behavior. B, document all incidents, actions, and conversations related to the problem. Keep a dated journal. C, if the offensive behavior persists, speak candidly with your supervisor about the problem. If the offender is your supervisor, speak to the individual supervisor or the hotline listed below. Complaint procedures. After following the procedures above in A through C, if any employee believes he or she has been the subject of sexual discrimination, sexual harassment, or other forms of unlawful harassment the employee must report the alleged act immediately to his or her supervisor, who is the store manager, by filing a confidential report of sexual and/or unlawful discriminatory harassment by calling the hotline below. See Appendix B for that, and you will see that in the box below as well. If for any reason the employee does not feel comfortable reporting the complaint to any of the store's manager, Rovin has set up a toll-free hotline he or she may call. This number goes directly to the voicemail monitored by the owners of the company and alerts them immediately once the voicemail is received. You will be asked to leave a message so that we can contact you directly. Once you're contacted, you will need to report all the facts available regarding the harassment by completing Appendix B. Complaints will be handled in a timely and confidential manner to the maximum extent possible. Information concerning a complaint will not be released by Rovin to anyone who is not involved with this investigation, nor will anyone involved be permitted to discuss the subject outside this investigation. The purpose of this provision is to protect the confidentiality of the employee who files the complaint, to encourage reporting of any incidents of sexual harassment or other unlawful harassment, and to protect the reputation of any employee who is wrongfully charged with a violation of the policy. Confidentiality. All reports of harassment will be treated seriously. However, absolute confidentiality is not promised, nor can it be assured. The company will conduct an investigation of any complaint, and that will require limited disclosure of pertinent information to certain parties, including the alleged harasser. Investigation. Investigation of a complaint will normally include conferring with the parties involved and any named or apparent witnesses. Employees shall be guaranteed an impartial and fair hearing. All employees shall be protected from coercion, intimidation, retaliation, interference, or discrimination for filing a complaint or assisting with an investigation. If the investigation reveals that the complaint is valid, prompt attention and disciplinary action designed to stop the harassment immediately and to prevent its reoccurrence will be taken. Mediation, arbitration, and unresolved complaints. In the event that the matter is unresolved to any party's satisfaction, including but not limited to the complainant, the victim, or the accused, satisfaction after compliance with all of these steps, then the matter shall be referred to an independent mediator for resolution at no cost to the complainant. In the event that the dispute cannot be resolved through mediation, then the parties agree to participate in a binding arbitration through a mutually agreeable arbitrator or through the auspices of AAA, using AAA's national rules for the resolution of employment disputes, and at no cost to the complainant in the event of lack of agreement as to the arbitrator, in order to finally resolve the matter with such arbitration being in lieu of any other legal remedies available. Requirements to follow policy. Rovin recognizes that the question of whether a particular action or incident is a purely personal social relationship without a discriminatory employment effect requires a factual determination based on all facts in the matter. Given the nature of this type of discrimination, Rovin recognizes that false accusations of sexual harassment can have serious effects on innocent individuals. We trust that all employees of Rovin will continue to act responsibly to establish and maintain a pleasant working environment free of discrimination for all. Rovin encourages any employee to raise questions he or she may have regarding discrimination, remedial action, or other with their immediate supervisor. For Rovin to effectively stop sexual harassment or other forms of unlawful harassment, it must know about it. It is the responsibility of those involved to report the same as soon as possible using one of the above notification procedures. Further, all employees must cooperate in any investigation of the complaint of unlawful harassment. Each employee shall provide a copy of this policy and become aware of its contents. Shall be provided a copy of this policy and become aware of its contents. Each employee will sign an acknowledgement of receipt of the policy and agreement and abide by the same as continued requirement of their employment. that would be on the next page. Go ahead and on this day, the 23rd of February, make sure to read all of that, put your employee's signature and date, and important to print your name below your signature. And once you're done with that, go ahead and just put it to the side on your file. If you want to put it to the side, any of those extra documents that you're not signing, you do have in your folder on the right copies of everything you're signing. So you will have copies of all those documents already. All right, everybody's got that signed. All right, the next page you should be on is Grogan Inc. or Final Warning Commitment to You. We want your job here to be fun and rewarding to you. To be gracious and friendly to our guests, you need to be comfortable, confident, and happy. You need to know you will always be given the opportunity to learn and correct your mistakes. Even though your employment is terminable at will by either you or us by law, if your employment is becoming questionable, our policy is to give you a final warning. This is a final effort to help you understand that the decision is yours. You either correct the mistake you are making, or you will have to terminate your employment with us. It is in your hands. You will be given a final warning and an opportunity to change, except in the following cases. 1. You failed to come to work and did not call a manager prior to the time of your shift to begin. Remember, no show, no call, no job. It is the employee's responsibility to read and write down their schedule. Forgetting to check it or another employee giving you the wrong time is not an excuse. If the manager changes the schedule after it is posted, it is your responsibility to see the change and adjust. Obviously, if you do not work before the day of schedule change, it is the manager's responsibility to notify you. Dishonesty of any kind, not telling the truth, theft, knowingly telling another employee or guest something that is not the truth. Anything commonly defined as theft, including misrepresentation of any records, including but not limited to time records. 3. Sexual harassment or any other unlawful harassment of a serious nature. 4. Other violations of policy or acts of insubordination which can jeopardize the safety of any employee or customer or reflects negatively on Grogan and the public. These rules are important in making sure that you are treated fairly and our guests have the experience they expect. Please sign below to confirm that you have read the above and understand the information, and that the opportunity to ask questions about the above information has been given to you. And put that in your pile of signed papers. All right, so our dress code. Suited bodies wear less t-shirt. All staff must wear black non-slip, slip-resistant shoes. Non-slip, slip-resistant must be printed on the sole of the shoes. Servers, host, bar. You are wearing medium to dark blue jeans, no capris, no skinny jeans, with a black belt and a white pressed button down. Pants should go down to the shoes. No skin socks should be visible. If anything is visible, they must be black socks. Shirts. The only hats are allowed are cowboy hats, appropriate makeup. So one thing that we are big on, ladies, is with the makeup, having color, lips, cheeks. You guys know how makeup works, but we are big, especially on the guys. We do the grooming check on the beards, everything like that. Half color. Yeah, just we want to make sure that it's very obvious to the guests that we didn't just roll out of bed. We are here to take care of you, and we are happy about it. So during COVID, all front of house employees are required to wear a clear face mask. Kitchen, you are to wear black utility pants. Black jeans are also fine, Dickies, anything like that. Black socks, a clean t-shirt, white or black. A chef coat and headwear will be provided to you. When we have those all in, kitchen staff, we will be provided 2 chef coats and 1 hat. For the front of house, you will be provided a brown apron. You'll be given the apron, and you will provide the shirt and pants. And for the pants, it's dark jeans are the best ones, the dark blue ones, because they're going to last longer. If you want to go with the medium blue, that's fine, absolutely. But those do tend to fade a little faster, just so you know. For the front of the house, it's only dark blue or medium blue. For the back of the house, so what you guys are seeing there, a lot of that is for our other location in Decatur. So that's why I'm telling you this verbally, and what you're hearing from my mouth is not exactly what you're seeing here. So it is a little different for us. Everybody will be given an updated dress code when it 100% reflects exactly what we're doing.
So you said back of the house, we could still look like pants?
Black pants,
Black pants.
Dickies, jeans.
Just full with black?
Yeah, yes sir, yes sir. As long as it's black, not dark gray, not faded black. Moving on. Hair is expected to be combed and maintained. Any hair longer than the top of the shoulder must be tied back or restrained in some fashion. No hair should be hanging down in the eyes or face. Changes of hair color must not be to any unnatural colors. Facial hair is discouraged because keeping it neat enough and appropriately styled is very difficult. If you choose to do so, you must keep your facial hair highly groomed, but long enough to clearly be a beard or mustache, and is not just the lack of shaving. No wild styles or odd patterns. Be prepared to make the appropriate changes or shave it completely if a man asks you to. All shirts must be tucked in. All clothes should be clean and pressed. No visible tattoos, no baggy pants or bell-bottom tight. No sandals or open-toed shoes, no facial or piercings can be worn. If you choose to get a piercing, visible tattoo, or dramatic hair color change after being hired, be prepared to give up shifts until it is fixed, healed, or covered, or removable. Everyone is expected to be freshly showered, clean, deodorized, and smelling good. Okay, so on this one here, guys, I'm going to go ahead and just give you a chance to take turns reading. Anybody comfortable? I can go around one at a time. One person do one, next person do two. General guidelines and rules. Yes. Yeah. Who would like to start?
Awesome. When be completely ready to work when you enter the building, you should not be putting on makeup, looking for an apron, or trying your hair out after walking in.
Two.
To enable management to maintain labor costs, do not clock in before your scheduled time unless you're asked to. Likewise, when asked to clock out, go straight from where we are standing and clock out.
Three.
All employees are required in designated areas only. We must leave all areas closed to the restaurants or arguments.
Four.
Each employee is responsible for checking their schedule each time they work, looking for changes in the schedule. If the schedule is changed and you do not work in between, it's the manager's responsibility to tell you about the change.
Our employees must eat before clocking in or expect to eat after closing.
And 6 is as demanded by the health department. All hair that is long enough to touch the shoulder must be restrained either by pulling it up, wearing a cap, or using a hairnet. This includes all areas of the restaurant. Never wear an apron into the restroom. The customers will notice and be disgusted by it. I don't think any of you have ever sat in a restaurant and been happy to see your server walk in the restaurant or into the restroom with their apron and everything on. You want to make sure that you have that sense of cleanliness. That's always been prevalent in restaurants, but even more so in times of COVID. People want to see that you're taking those extra steps to wash your hands and maintain any kind of hygiene that you possibly can while running around a dirty restaurant. It can be difficult. Number 8, always wash your hands after using the restroom. Always wash your hands after touching your hair, sneezing, or even scratching your nose. Anytime you're in the restroom for any reason, wash your hands. That is one of the most difficult things to break habit on, is touching your face. Make sure guests never see you touching your face or your hair. If you have to adjust, step out of view and go ahead and do so, and then make sure you wash your hands. The appearance of our employees is very important. All employees must be clean and neat for work. To impress our customers, our female employees are required to add color to their face, particularly to the lips and cheeks. As we meet people in the aisles, we speak, no matter what direction they are going. If they are obviously leaving, a pleasant goodbye or thank you is sufficient. Just making eye contact and saying hi means a lot, and it is sufficient, and yet more than they get at other restaurants. Also, simply because we have a tray does not give us the right of way. It is not always easy when we have something heavy, but pushing ahead is rude. That's one thing I'm big on. Just make sure always give the guests the right of way. Always. Just be aware and put that into your autopilot. We do not close until we actually close. So, for example, our music will remain on until the last guest has left the area. For example, they are just out the door. If they are just out the door, the music stays on because they're basically still within earshot. All of our guests pay for the same experience, and we must make sure that we don't do things to cause them to have a lesser experience. 12. There should be no eating in the kitchen except for the tasting of food by those making it. 13. Never use a large broom in the dining room when the customers are present. Always use small brooms and dustpans when the guests are present. For most of you know those as lobby brooms, just the short brooms. In the morning, when there are no guests, or at night, obviously if a bigger one helps you get the area clean faster, use your one. But in front of guests, we want to make sure to always use the lobby broom. Number 14. Part of your job includes cleaning up trash and spills, including the bathroom. Whenever you see trash or debris, whether outside in the parking lot or in the restaurant, etc., please help keep it clean. If there is a problem, tell a manager. Remember that this is your house too. A sense of ownership is very important, guys. This is your restaurant. You want it to stay looking new as long as possible. If there's a huge mess outside, no, we do not expect you to sit there 20 minutes picking everything up. Come inside and tell us, and you can go ahead and get somebody who's designated for that to do that and clean it up. But if you see a piece of trash, a cup or something like that, pick it up on your way in and make sure to find the trash can. 15, never stand around at the host area or general cashier area. 16, use the I'm sorry policy. Anytime you have ever responded anytime you ever have to respond negatively to a guest. If the guest is visibly upset or unhappy about your response, don't hesitate to get a manager to help the guest. Even if you are able to recover the situation and the guest is super happy, still make sure that the manager is aware that, hey, this occurred, they weren't too happy about it. Because sometimes you're not getting the full picture, and when we stop by, they just like to let it loose. And you know, it's one of those things that's what we're there for. We're there to make sure that if there's ever a hiccup or a bump, we're there to smooth it out real quick. Okay? Make sure that don't lose that guest experience just because you thought everything was okay. Make sure a manager is aware. Telephone and cell phone usage. The Sweetie Pie's Ribeyes phone. While you are at work, we do not ordinarily allow the use of Sweetie Pie's Ribeyes phone to make or receive personal phone calls. It is our goal to keep the phone line free for the purpose of business and our customers. In the event that a member of your family has an emergency, arise, we will allow you the use of the phone at that time. In any event, we will be glad to take a message so that you may return the call later. Any phone call you need to make must have the permission of the manager in charge of your area at that time. Cell phones. You may not carry a cell phone or pager on your person while at work. They should be left in your purse or your car. If left in your purse, they should be turned off and in silent mode. We also have cubbies that you guys will be able to use. Those cubbies are very secured by lots of cameras, so whatever you put in there is going to be safe. Don't worry. Rules for visitors. You are not allowed visitors of any kind while at work. We do not want your friends to come in and hang out with you, and this includes other employees who are not scheduled to work at shift. If your friends come in as guests to eat, we expect you to pay no more attention to them than the other guests. If you feel there is an instance where you need to deviate from this policy, then you should talk to a manager. Rules for employee meals. Employees may order anything any of our customers may order. We do not desire to make money from our employees, so any employee meal is sold at 50% of the normal price. This is good for any time before work, after work, or on your days off. All to-go food is charged full price. So the employee discount is there for you, and it's mainly for work purposes. So there's not, hey, I'm going to do a big order to go and I'm going to get discounted on that. That's not how that works. Managers don't get their to-go stuff either. So we just don't do to-go when it comes to employee meals. If you guys do want a discount, say at the base, you want to come eat here. They will sometimes ask for your paycheck stuff. But of course, if you're running to work and you're showing up an hour early to work because you want to eat, and you don't have your paycheck stuff, I mean, one of us can call over and say, hey, our employee's there. One of the other things I encourage is take a moment out of one of your days off to get out there to Decatur, check out that location. It's a beautiful location. It's got a lot of history to it, and you can kind of see where it all started as far as the Sweetie Pie's concept. And you will see differences between that one and this one. This one is newer. This one is much more I don't know what the word I would use for it is, but we've adapted, we've changed, and we've grown, and we've seen where we want to make things better. And so this is going to be the best version of Sweetie Pies for us. Employee meals. This is an employee price only, not for family or friends. Extending this privilege to anyone other than an employee is considered dishonest. Lastly, if you do come in to eat on your day or night off, we are glad to have you. However, we expect you to act like a guest and refrain from disrupting other employees as they do their jobs. I think that's a big one for when people come in on their days off and they really like to socialize with the people who are working. But when you have tables, you should focus on that, and that should be always the priority as the guest. Schedules and attendance. It is expected that you come to work on time on the days you are scheduled. The scheduled time is the time we want you to be at work ready to perform your job. Excessive tardiness or excessive absenteeism is not accepted. When you arrive to work, you should be ready to go and not walk around the store with your hair down or shirt untucked. In fact, before you enter the building, you should be completely dressed and ready to work. The exception being the necessity to change clothes in the bathroom because you're arriving directly from school or another place. When you are completely ready and at the start time of your shift arrives, clock in. Once you are finished working and your closing side work has been approved and inspected, clock out and please go home. Schedules are posted by 6 p.m. on Sunday. You are required to check your schedule in person. No checking it by phone will be allowed. One thing I will state is that naturally, about every store we have that has a bit of catering thing. The front of house creates their own Facebook page. The back of house creates their own Facebook page. When that schedule gets posted, someone who happens to be at the store takes a picture and posts it up. So not only does that allow you to be able to see the schedule, make sure the dates are correct, but also if you have a day that you know that you didn't get the request off in time and I need this day covered, that's a place where you can say, hey, I really need someone to cover my Tuesday shift. That is not something that the managers or management or any part of whatsoever, I need to make that clear. That is something that is on you and your schedule is still your responsibility. We never want to hear that Facebook is wrong. Okay? Understood? All right. When you, let's see. If you would like to be off on a certain day or for certain days, you must put in your request using a 3x5 index card and schedule request box. You will see these index cards. We always have time for them. We will never run out. If any time you need to put a schedule request, it goes on that card. And then go speak to a manager so that it makes sure that they can put it in a request box. Verbal communication only cannot be honored. The deadline for requests for the upcoming work week is no later than 9 p.m. Monday, the week before the schedule is posted. But remember, the earlier that you put in your request, the better chance that we can honor it. Once the schedule is posted, the responsibility for getting any shifts covered falls on you. We will make every attempt to provide you with the days off that you ask for. However, there may be times when we are unable to grant your request because of the proper staffing demands needed to be met. We very much want to provide you with schedule flexibility, but we cannot do that at the expense of our guests. Your understanding and cooperation during these times when they occur will greatly be appreciated. Everybody gets sick from time to time. We simply ask that you inform us in ample time to get your shift covered. If you miss work for an extended period of time, a written doctor's note may be required. Never once have I ever received a call from someone said they're feeling bad, and I'm like, how dare you? We make sure that it's your responsibility. Start reaching out on Facebook, start reaching out on text, get it covered. That's the most important thing. Okay? If you have trouble getting it covered, that's when we can step in, but you have to give us time to do so. Don't do it an hour before your shift starts. If you know you are going to be late, call us and let us know. It allows us to make any immediate adjustments necessary to operate smoothly. If you no-call, no-show, we will assume that you have decided not to work here any longer unless notified otherwise. To prevent from being removed from the schedule, you must contact us by closing time that day. We operate on the honesty principle. You doing your part and us doing ours is the key to this principle working. All right, the basics of tip reporting. What you need to know if you earn tips. 100% is the magic number. All tips are taxable. If you earn tips, be aware that if you receive more than $20 in a month in tips, all of these tips count as income that you must report and pay taxes on. That includes your cash tips, your charge tips, or any tips that you get from other employees from a tip out, as an example, minus what you tip out to others. You may have heard all you need to do is report tips equal to 8% of your sales, or 10%, or 15%, or just your charge card tips. That is a big misconception and could get you in legal trouble if you earn more. The law requires you to report and pay taxes on 100% of the tips you keep after tip outs. Employees must record their tips daily. If you get audited, there's only one thing that'll save you, and that's good daily records. The IRS requires tipped employees to keep a daily tip diary or other evidence to prove tip earnings. Your daily records must show how much you made in cash tips and charge tips, the amount of tips you receive from other employees through tip pools or other tip sharing arrangements, and the amount tipped out to other employees. It takes a couple minutes at the end of every shift, and one little notepad book can last months. So it's definitely worth just keeping that in there just in case. While you are not required to use the IRS forms to keep track of your tips, the IRS offers Form 4070A, Employees Daily Record of Tips, which you can use as your personal tip diary. Call the IRS number at this if you don't have access to an online source. Employees must report their tips to their to their employer. Anyone who receives $20 or more in tips in a month must report all tips to their employer by no later than the 10th day of the following month. Employers may require employees to report tips more often, like every week or at the end of every shift. That should be mostly what everybody here is used to, is at the end of every shift when you're clocking out. That's when most tip reporting gets done. If this requirement applies both to directly tipped employees, such as servers who get tips directly from customers, as well as indirectly tipped employees, such as bussers who may receive a share in these tips. An employee's written tip report must include certain information. Check out the IRS Form 4070 that we just recently discussed, which is called Employees Report of Tips to Employer, for details. Not reporting your tips is a big deal. If the IRS audits you and finds out that you didn't report all your tips, you could be facing some big bills. Falsifying tip income is illegal. You'll owe income and FICA, which is Social Security and Medicare, taxes on the unreported tips. You'll probably be stuck with interest and penalties. And what's more, the IRS has the right to audit at least as far as back 3 years, or further if the agency believes it's a case of fraud. Some restaurant servers have even been jailed for tax evasion. All right, now we have the test, rules and guidelines test. I'm going to ask the question, and anybody who feels inclined, please answer. At the end of that, I will give you the answer to make sure that you understand correctly. All right, so rules and guidelines test. I am required to wear shoes that have, thank you, yes, please, slip-resistant soles, thank you. 2, once I've entered the building to work, I must tuck my shirt in, put my hair up if necessary, and put on makeup if female before walking in. False, correct. You don't do that once you've entered the building, you do it before you enter the building. 3, I should remove my apron before entering the restroom. True. 4, as I pass people in the hallway and aisles of the restaurant, it's very important that I
Say hi.
Correct. Speak. Make eye contact. Give the right of way. All right answers. 5, we never close until we actually close. B, never close until we actually close. 6, explain the I'm sorry theory. For that one, remember, if you have a complaint, always start by saying I'm sorry. Always start by saying I'm sorry. And then further after that, if you like, let me get a manager. And don't ever feel like you need to take on a problem by yourself. That again is what we are here for. 7, my cell phone must be kept in my pocket at all times and only used if I'm not busy. False. 8, as long as I report 8% of my tips, I'm following the law. False. 9, I know that I'm entitled to a 50% discount for my meals in the restaurant. If I order food to go, I pay full price. C. 10, I can call in to check my schedule as long as I have a manager do the checking.
What?
False. 10 is false. That manager could be wrong, you know? It, again, is on you.
Oh, yes, you're
Correct. It's on you to physically with your own eyes see it. If you choose to go based off Facebook, then the repercussions of having it incorrect is on you again. Rules and guideline test number 11. My schedule request should be turned in and written on 3x5 cards. True. 12. If I want to get the best schedules and stations, circle all that are correct. Yep. Okay, so for that one, guys, that one is going to be A, B, C, D, and E. Why is it not F? Correct. You lock it on time, not early, not late. All right. 13. From the harassment policy, sexual harassment is specifically prohibited regardless of whether it rises to the level of legal violation. True. True. Select each of the following for 14 that could be considered harassment. All of them, correct. Circle all of them, or E, all of the above. 15. There are 3 reasons I could be fired without first receiving a formal, written, final warning and the opportunity to correct my actions. 1. Committing an act of sexual harassment of a serious nature. 2. Failing to show up for work without calling a manager before my shift starts. 3. An act of dishonesty like theft or lying. True. Can't skip that. You should be on building the foundation for your success. Building the foundation for your success. Like a house needs a strong foundation before being built, so does your career with us. Before you begin working in any particular position, we need to begin by laying the foundation for your understanding about the company that you've joined. Our vision: we aspire to be a leader in our industry through the quality of our food, outstanding service, and the positive impact that we have on everybody we touch. For our guests, we want to greatly exceed expectations and create wonderful lasting memories that bring people closer together. They should depart feeling like members of our family eager to return. For our people, we want to serve everyone in our restaurant family by being a source of optimism, inspiration, Christian values, ethical teaching, and unique opportunity. For our business partners, we want everyone from the executives to the delivery drivers to be pleased and proud of their association with our company. We are determined to reach this vision in a manner consistent with Christian values and ethics. Our company's values. As a family-owned business, our company's values come primarily from our Christian faith and our desire to model Christian ethics. While we are far from perfect, we believe that trying to act with these values in mind is not only key to our company's success, but also for all of us personally. Regardless of your faith or religious beliefs, we believe we can benefit by trying to practice these values in all aspects of our life or your life. And those are our actions. Act with integrity, always. The foundation for respect. Practice and reward honesty. Strong leadership begins here. Be sincere. A caring attitude disarms anger. Remain humble. Remember that success is not entitlement. Keep your sense of humor and know how to laugh at yourself. Our treatment of others. Follow the golden rule. Treat others the same way you want them to treat you. Act with compassion for others, even when they don't seem to deserve it. React with forgiveness, but do not condone apathy. Demonstrate a servant's heart. Putting others before yourself is a strength, not a weakness. Our personal priorities. Take care of yourself. Protect your health. Nourish your spiritual well-being. And keep your family relationships strong. Practice self-discipline. Deny yourself an extravagance today for something greater tomorrow. Maintain a learning attitude. If you are learning, you are moving forward. Take personal responsibility. You control your own happiness and well-being. Be thankful in everything. Difficult times build character. Our pursuit of success. Have a passion for what you do. Key to happiness and success. Treat the business as your own. Remember, I was talking about having a sense of ownership. It's very important in everything you do. You will make better decisions with that in mind. Aim to exceed expectations. Guests notice, and your boss will not forget. Develop a strong work ethic to make the most of yourself. Improve constantly. Settling for status quo is the first step into a decline. Goals, strategies, and tactics. Before we go further, it is necessary for us to explain what we mean by goals, strategies, and tactics. Goal. This is the result we are trying to achieve, our ultimate purpose in the job we are doing. Strategies. The plan of action designed to achieve our goal. Tactics. The specific steps and methods we use in these strategies. How can you be successful working here? No matter what you're doing or what position you're in, remember to share in our goals. Our primary goal is to create a bring them back dining experience for each and every guest. The strategies you can apply to help achieve this goal include A. Remember and apply our company's values. B. Be overtly friendly. You are the personality of Sweetie Pies. Make everyone feel welcomed into our building, just like family you have invited into your home. Tactics to use. Show your friendliness by approaching and stepping forward to guests, not waiting for them to approach you. Make eye contact. Give them a big, genuine smile. And you speak first. Don't wait for them to speak. C. Deliver the best true Texas food. Even if you're not preparing the food, you can help make sure that we serve the best food possible to our guests. Tactics to use. Familiarize yourself with how our food looks, smells, tastes, and how we serve it. If you see something that doesn't seem right, ask a manager to check it. You don't have to worry about getting someone in trouble because we do not punish people for making mistakes. A mistake isn't bad if you don't learn from it. And if you learn from something, then it's not a mistake. So keep that in mind. Serving something we know that is wrong is the real mistake. If you see something, again, bring it to someone's attention. D. Exceed our guests' expectations. In every aspect of their experience with us, they notice, they remember, and they take the time to tell others because it's so unique and exciting. Tactics to use. Anticipate their needs before they start looking for help. Anticipate their questions before they have to ask. Anticipate their concerns and solve them before they become problems. Demonstrate your passion for the job. They will notice and reward you, either directly if you make tips or indirectly with praise and positive feedback from your managers or to your managers. All right. Next page. Sweetie Pie's ribeyes concept should be. Our objective: provide a casual and fun dining experience for the family with the highest quality food. The meal should remind us of family reunions at Grandma's house. The food and experience will be more than expected. Strategies to accomplish this objective. 1. Avoid typical structured restaurant design, communication, and policies. We have mismatched furniture, silverware, no canned speeches, and as few rules as possible. We are not looking for you to sound like a robot and say the same spiel at every single table. We want you to be natural, we want you to be comfortable, we want you to have fun because that will radiate to the guests. And that's exactly what we're looking for. 2. Hire only employees who are fun, outgoing, and full of life. Servers who will interact and tease the guests, such as, all right, who didn't eat all their steak? Or do the magic coloring book, Murphy, etc. We are big on, not only do we have singers that will walk around every 30 minutes, but we have things for the kids to be visually interacted with. Murphy the Hedgehog, it's kind of a box that shakes, and the kids know something's in that box, but they can't see in it, you know. There's all sorts of different things. The magic coloring book, when you flip it, it's just a regular coloring book that's not colored. And then you flip it again, and all of a sudden it's all colored. And you flip it again, and all of a sudden every page is empty. You know, things just to be fun. It may take a little getting used to, but once you get used to it, it's very easy and again, very fun. The kids love it, and that's the goal. Provide foreground music to make employees and guests feel good and have fun. Ask your manager to explain the difference between foreground music and background music. 4. Provide the family table dining experience for interactions amongst the guests as well as memories of family get-togethers. Discuss family table service with your manager. 5. Provide fast, attentive service that is not formal, but instead a reminder of having a meal at Grandma's house. 6. We treat our guests as long-lost kinfolk from the moment they approach our property. Each of us speak first, whether they are coming onto the porch or coming out of the restroom. 7. Serve only a bring-them-back quality food. We would rather turn guests away than serve food that is not perfect. And these are from Paul Vineyard, one of our owners. The owner of the company will be the Vineyard family. So you'll learn a lot about them and their path to this beautiful restaurant. This next page, the True Texas Dining Experience. We will skip that because that is something that we're going to go over a lot in your training, whether you are from the house or we're back at house. On the next one, you should have one to sign. It is the make sure get your copy of the Sweetie Pie's Ribeyes Menus and Facts. Go ahead and sign and date that, and then put it on the pile of signed papers. Origin of Sweetie Pie's Ribeye. That should be the next page. Origin of Sweetie Pie's Ribeye. Sweetie Pies came about due to a convergence of several opportunities at the right time. One, once the deal was signed off with the city of Frisco for Babes, but more than 2 years before we'd actually break ground on it, they asked us to consider another restaurant concept to develop in the same area as Babes. Two, Paul Younger's brother, Joe, who you will all meet. If you don't approach him, he will approach you. He is our big boss. He is the big dog. You will see him walking around. The friendliest, most awesome guy you will ever meet. Feel free to say hi to him. Do not be shy. He definitely wants to get to know you. Paul's younger brother, Joe, became available to move into the area and join the company. Joe has greater than 30 years experience in the restaurant business, primarily owning and operating steakhouses. The owner of a restaurant in downtown Decatur contacted Paul, one of our owners. The restaurant's name was Maddie's. He was asking us for help with his struggling location and also offering the possibility of buying him out of the business. And because developing a new concept can be so difficult, and because Paul believed that the Frisco customers would be less forgiving, the opportunity to develop a Sweetie Pies in Decatur was a great opportunity. Obviously, we would like to have the Frisco one, but as you well know, with most restaurants, if you don't do it right, if you don't do it perfect when you start, you don't survive. And especially in a market like Frisco's or Plano or any of those other ones. So with their first attempt, they wanted to do it right, and they figured that people in Decatur would be less, be more forgiving if it wasn't perfect at get-go, and they did great. They've been there for a lot of years, and they have a great following, and throughout the entire year of 2020, they found themselves on a lot of waits. A lot of restaurants were closing their doors, so a lot of great stuff. Because of so far the Frisco offer has not solidified, but we will be in a much better position to capitalize on it or other ones if they develop. Sweetie Pie's Ribeyes was created in much the same way that Babes was created. We even met with Mr. Painter at length, and he shared many of the details of his operations for our benefit. Simply, we asked ourselves what food makes the perfect steak dinner. Cold salad, baked potato, a homemade yeast rolls with grilled ribeye was the answer. Follow those with homemade pecan pie, and it takes us back to when Daddy got his annual bonus. We kept the menu small and simple to enable us to concentrate on making each item in the meal absolutely the best that it can be. We use the following goals for each food item. Salad, cold crisp with excellent dressings and ample amount. Yeast rolls, copy as close as possible to Grandma Vineyard's homemade yeast rolls, although we do not have her 200-year-old yeast maker. Baked potatoes, fluffy, hot, and consistently good. Ribeye, fresh cut after the guest places their order. Minimum amount of seasoning to allow the great steak flavor to come through. We chose great aged ribeye seared on a very hot flat grill. Pecan pie. We wanted good pecan flavoring with rich filling and homemade whipped cream. Apricot fried pies. These unique pies use particularly extra tart apricot that we ship in special just to achieve the great tart and sweet combination flavors. Red velvet cake. This is a delicious old-fashioned recipe, and it's made in adorable small-sized cakes. In fact, one cake can be cut into 4 slices. Lunch offerings are burgers, sandwiches, salads, and chicken fried steaks. Chicken fried ribeyes. Attention has been given to each of these items to make them the very best that we can. Fresh cut French fries will go well with the lunch items. We continue to refine our Sweetie Pies concept, and thankfully we continue to get raves from our customers. Next page, our story. Sweetie Pie's objective is to do a few things very well. Primarily, it is to serve the best steak dinner available at an affordable price. Restaurants that try to be all things to all people seldom do anything exceptionally well. Sweetie Pie is the name of that babe would love to name her pet bull if she ever gets one. Yeah, that's how the name came along. So in the Sweetie Pies indicator and the one here, you will actually see a big, beautiful taxidermy bull in the main dining room. And the one indicator is named Sweetie Pie, and it's named the same one here, right? Sweetie Pie. So hopefully she gets that bull right. The old style ribeye we serve starts with the finest USD choice rib roll. We cut the precise thickness best for grilling over a searing hot griddle at 550 degrees, thereby caramelizing and sealing in the juices and flavor. At one point or another throughout training, we'll discuss certified Angus beef, the top end of choice, the bottom end of prime. Very good quality ribeyes. Homemade yeast rolls are from the Southern Home Recipe. We love them because they remind us of Grandma's bread rolls and rolls made from the family's yeast starter. Our hamburger buns and croutons are from the same recipe. Our hot bacon dressing is our version of a dressing served at Madeira's restaurant in downtown Milwaukee. Our Babe's honey is Texas brush honey, made from bees visiting catclaw, mesquite, whitebrush, and persimmon. This should be good for local folks' allergies. If any of you know anything about honey, obviously the more local, the better it is for you. And you can get honey cheaper at Sweetie Pies than you can at most grocery stores. So not only do they offer really high quality, they do it at an awesome price because they're looking to share that good quality with everybody. Again, it's all about quality. So the Vineyard family also owns Bubba's in Dallas, on Hillcrest near SMU, Bubba's Frisco, and Babe's restaurants in Roanoke, Garland, Sanger, Carrollton, Burleson, Granbury, Frisco, Cedar Hill, Arlington, and now North Richland Hills. Bubba's was the first restaurant opened in 1981, and the second Bubba's opened in Frisco in 2019. The Babe's restaurants followed beginning in 1993. All right, so now on the test, learning about Sweetie Pie's ribeyes test. Okay there? All right, same as the last test. 1, in our company vision, there are 3 particular groups of people that we discuss. Circle those 3. They are B, our people. D, our business partners. And F, our guests. Correct. B, D, and F. Number 2, please name and describe any 2 of our company values. Remember, those are our actions, our treatment of others, our personal priorities, our pursuit of success. If you wrote any of those 2, that'll work. Those are our company values. From the discussion on goals, strategies, and tactics, a goal is defined as the result we are trying to achieve, our ultimate purpose of the job we are doing. True. Number 3, true. 4, one of our primary goals is to circle the correct answer.
Create a true Texas.
F, create a true Texas experience. 5, delivering true Texas quality food is only the responsibility of those who work in the kitchen. False. It is the responsibility of all of us. If one of us fails, we all do. Again, that sense of ownership.
We always said the servers will last the 5 set hours you got.
Absolutely. The more eyes, the better. And not any one of us in here or any one of us managers over there is perfect. Everybody can miss something. That's why we work as a team to make sure we give the best experience. 6, playing our music as foreground music in order to help everyone feel good and have fun is a part of what? C, correct, yes, the Sweetie Pies concept. 7, you can exceed our guests' expectations by anticipating their needs, questions, and concerns. Circle. True, absolutely true. 8, treating our guests as long-lost kinfolks from the moment they come onto our property is a strategy for what? B, correct, B, the Sweetie Pies concept. 9, the true Texas dining experience includes the following. Circle all that apply. Everyone. Correct.
or E, all of the above. 10. List the meats available for our guests to order at Sweetie Pies.
You have ribeyes. You have fillets. You have chicken fried ribeyes. Catfish. Chicken. You got a lot of good options, but no barbecue.
11. Sweetie Pies is open from 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. 7 days a week. Circle one. That is false.
We do not close until we close. We also have a breakdown during the day. So after lunch ends, we actually do close down and then we reopen for dinner.
Reset, restock.
Yeah, reset, restock. There's not a lot usually going in that time. Of course, that can change. We are a new restaurant. If we find that people just keep pouring in, we might be in all day, all the time type of thing. During the weekends, we are open all day. We're open and closed. There is no shutdown in the middle because that's usually when most people are still going to
12. List the sides that come with each meal. They are baked potato,
salads.
those are those two we did go over. Cottage fries, steak fries. Everybody know what cottage fries are?
Basically, they are just almost scalloped potatoes. So thick discs, waffle fries with no actual waffle.
Yeah, they're very tasty. Bubba's is located. I'm sorry. So yes, we also have fries, green beans, fresh squash, sautéed mushrooms, mac and cheese, broccoli soup. You don't have to write all of those, but just make sure you're learning. Bubba's number 13 is located in downtown Fort Worth and was opened in 1955. False.
Was 81.
13 is false. 81. It actually finished in 85. 14. Our honey is Texas brush honey made from bees visiting catclaw, mesquite, white brush. Can anybody pronounce that?
Wheel?
Perfect. That's perfect right
What was
there.
I should say. Kilos.
It's beautiful, but it's very difficult to say. And persimmon. This honey is good for local folks' allergies. True. Absolutely true. 15. The sorghum, which is the jar on the table that isn't honey. It's darker than honey. It is shipped in from overseas and has a stronger bitter taste than molasses.
This is false. It's not shipped in from overseas.
Oh,
It's from Louisiana.
but is it still bitter? I never actually tried.
Hey, it does have kind of a bitter taste to it, yeah. It does. People really, really love it. It's just a much stronger and more traditional type of molasses.
People do love it.
All right, guys. Very good job. For the test, keep the test in the pile that you are keeping. You will have lots of tests that we will be keeping throughout training. Those tests are for you to keep and study. You should have a pile of paperwork that is all science stuff that does not include those tests.